Earlier this year, we had a great 2-day in-person event for futures traders, and I want to share the insights and the conversations as well as the presentations that we had across those 2 days. But first, I want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of the event, as well as the sponsor of the streams every morning, Top One Futures. You can always find the links down below and get the best deal on their instant fundeds and their new Sim Pro accounts with code Evan. So make sure you guys check that out down below and give them a big thanks for always supporting the videos as well as the in-person events. Now enjoy the insights, the conversations, the presentations from these 2 days events. I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.
So first question I'll pose to the panel. How long did you strategy hop before you finally decided to commit to the strategies that you've all taught today? All three of you spoke over the last 2 days. You traded this morning especially. How long did you strategy hop? And then what happened with that strategy you're trading today, the initial balance, that it told you or it felt to you that this is it? You want to go first, Ev? And then we'll just go down the line?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really hop per se. I mean, I'm not trading what I did day one, but I think a lot of it is you could hand me the strategy I'm trading now. Like in the first week I ever discovered trading, yeah, I'm probably going to suck at it. That doesn't mean the strategy's broken. I'm just not a good trader yet, which is fine. That I think like when I started to find success, I was just saying, well, it's probably this strategy because it's working. Those other ones weren't. I think it's probably a mix of both. Maybe the strategy, my own self-beliefs, and just my own tolerance of things. But I think it was also, well, you just weren't ready to make any strategy profitable in the first 2 months. So don't blame the strategy. Look within. But I think that more so in the past 2 years, like strategy's just been set. It's just been evolving and maybe removing some things and adding something to replace it. But the asset, the time frame, the VWAPs have been the same for over a year now, and I don't really like make drastic changes of, okay, now I want to go trade gold and remove all the VWAPs. I'm going to look at some other indicator. It's really just becoming how can I add, but also how can I subtract some things so I don't overcomplicate things. To just always be adding. If I'm adding something, it's most likely because I'm removing something that's went down in importance. But hopping in the beginning, yeah, I definitely did that, as most of us do, just to find what fits best for your own beliefs and what do you like. But it's also you're gaining experience of reading price action with all these different types of indicators. What makes sense, what doesn't make sense to you, and then you just pick and choose which ones you want to run with, and then you stick to it for a longer period of time.
Good, Joey. Is anyone in here in strategy hopping phase right now? Okay. It's okay. Put your hand up. Like, we all been there. Yeah? Yeah.
I definitely strategy hopped. I mean, I was the fucking Easter bunny between strategies.
Dude's got jokes, bro.
I went from strategy to strategy, right? And I did that for probably a year, maybe a year and a half before I actually found what works for me. And I think the turning point there was when I found something that not necessarily was easy, because trading's not easy by any means at all, but the strategy felt easy. Like it felt like I had a clear vision of what I wanted, where I wanted price to go. Like I talked about on the initial balance, right? Where it gave me clear targets of what I wanted to see, whether it was 50% of the IB or the full. I knew exactly what I was looking for. And then from there, things clicked. And so I think, it's perfectly normal to strategy hop until you find that one thing, right? We all, as traders, we all have that one thing. And once you find that and things click and feel easy, that's when you really find a turning point in your trading.
The biggest issue is too many people don't try strategy long enough to have enough data to be like, oh, this works. Because not every strategy is going to be perfect. You're going to take losses. Like the best strategy in the world is not going to work perfectly. You even saw today. That was a bread and butter setup that I took live in front of you guys. My management could have been better, right? There's still areas to tweak on it because it's never perfect. But over time, I've done that so often and taken that entry at least that I know I'm like, okay, I'm in the driver's seat. Now I just still figuring out how to navigate the road as it works, but the markets are, we don't know what's gonna be given to us. So when I first traded options, this was actually really something I struggled with because I'd have all these different playbook setups, doing all these different types of things. And I remember actually one specifically where my best edge was called the power earnings gap. And basically it's when a stock had crazy good earnings, they gapped up specifically into all-time highs, and it's just like a gap and go continuation trade. And I never forget the night. I kind of saw this a little bit when I was getting my footing. It was on Chipotle, and it was one of my best options trades to this day. Night before, back tested it. It was a gap into all-time highs, and I was like, all right, if this starts to go at the open, I'm just gonna get long basically and go for it. Got long, got in calls. They were extremely mispriced in my favor, And 4 minutes later, I sold it, and I made $4,000 off $900 into the play, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best day ever. Of course, I was really early, and then I watched it rip, and I would have made 30 grand off the play, and I'm like, are you kidding me? But anyways, the whole point of that is once I found that, I was like, oh, this is something that has edge. And then I continued to forward test it as time went on when some of these things did gap into all-time highs, and there would be scenarios where it didn't work out the same. So then I would have to figure out, okay, what does it look like now when it gaps into all-time highs and doesn't rip right away at the open? What if it pulls back a little bit, right? What if it does this? So there's all these like variations of the scenario. So it was a lot of strategy hopping initially with options, which kind of made it difficult to find something that made a lot of sense. But eventually those earnings plays did work out very well for me, and that's kind of what got me actually profitable. Then when I switched to futures, the biggest thing for me that helped was documenting that easy money setup of the day. And I did that for an entire year straight, documenting that pullback to VWAP setup, that one play every single damn day, to the point where I'm like, I can find this almost every single day. Yes, it's not always going to materialize perfectly, but my eyes are now trained to find it, and I know it works all the time. So that's kind of like a clicking point where I'm like, okay, I can do this over and over and over and make money. And I never had the mindset of like, well, let me try this or try that. And the shiny object syndrome is like the #1 killer of traders in the developmental phase, especially.
How many strategies do you think a trader should have in their playbook?
For trading futures, I literally have 3. That's it. 3 basic strategies: pull back to VWAP, pull back to volume point of control, or a key level reaction. That's it. And so other than that, if it's not one of those and I find myself taking a trade, I'll literally ask myself out loud, I'm like, Tanner, what the fuck was that? That's not that's not your
Do you
setup.
answer the question back out loud too?
Yes.
I don't know,
that's,
bro.
Like, that's not a setup. Like, come on.
I don't know what I'm doing. What do you think, Joey? How many strategies?
Yeah, I think 2, max 3, right?
Okay.
I mean, if you have more than that, you're spreading yourself too thin, and then you start to confuse yourself on what it is you're looking for, because at that point you could be seeing 2 different things, 2 different strategies coming into play, and you don't know which one to take, and you could be wrong on both, right? So
Absolutely.
I feel like 1, 2, like that's it.
Ev?
Yeah, I'd say 2 to 3, and even within that strategy, if it's not going to be any of ours, it's just like the more simple you could make it, that you don't need to like, oh, let me explain it to you. Like you have like 2 days, it's going to take a while, because this checklist, I go through everything. It's just going to be tougher to remember for yourself and also act on and go through in the moment. That if you could just dumb it down and keep it simple, then you'll be easy. Like it's easier to just find on the day to day, and like Tanner was saying, just ingrain that pattern. Once you just study it for so long. I mean, I have like a VWAP bounce and a VWAP break, and then the only third play would just be like full on tilt, doing something that's not part of the plan. That'd be the third setup that I don't want to be in. But yeah, anything outside of that, it's just like you don't necessarily need it. And like he was saying, you're just gonna find, well, that's telling me to long it. This is kind of telling me to short it. So like, which strategy do I like better, or do I want to follow today? You don't really want to have to confuse yourself or make it harder than it already is.
And if
Wait,
you're
so tilt's not a strategy?
No.
No, it's a playbook on TradeZella. But
It is. I
Full
was just going to
board.
say. So what you could do is you can actually track on TradeZella through playbooks. There's a playbook section there. Track your price plays. I call them price plays, where you're just kind of guessing. You don't have a VWAP. Maybe you got a key level. Start tracking it. As soon as you see how red those things cost you, you'll stop doing it. It just track your tilt. Because when we tilt, most of us don't even do a daily report card. I'll challenge you to do the opposite. Track the tilt. All of a sudden, you stop having tilt days. Shocker. Hard-written rules. We talk 2 to 3 in the playbook. Do you guys believe that traders need to have handwritten, hard and fast rules printed on the desk, read it every morning before you trade?
Like physically read it, is that a requirement?
Why? Because you can't read?
Yeah, I'd prefer not to.
Right. Yes. I'm asking you, should they go home and write out the rules that they take from the strategies they learned here in the videos and then read it every day before they trade?
Yes, until you can break me down the plan A through Z without hesitation or having to look up anything, or dumbing it down, keeping it simple. Your trading plan shouldn't be too complicated. But yeah, I think it's definitely healthy in the beginning to remind yourself, what am I looking for this morning? What do I need to see today? What is my risk tolerance today? What size am I going to put on? Like reminding yourself at any stage is always good, but especially in the developmental stage, always have to remind yourself in the morning what you're looking for, why you're doing it, what do you need to do, when you're going to cut off. All those simple questions definitely going to help in the beginning.
Yeah, he pretty much nailed it on the head there. I'll just reemphasize that. Some of my mentorship students, I had them write down on a piece of paper what they needed to follow, the systems they were going to follow, and that would help set them in the right direction on where they need to go for the day. That put them in the right headspace, give them total clarity on the day, and I found out that really helped them. So just to reemphasize that, I think that's pretty much it. Write it down, read it every morning before you start trading.
Write it down on a sticky note, put it under your monitor, read it, never follow it. And then over and over, you realize
The answer's right in front of me.
the answer's right in front of you. I can't tell you how many sticky notes I used to have with the rules there. But no, like this is something where like when you're doing the breakdown of like a psychological component of the day at the end of the day, you'll see the same thing you're doing over and over that's really holding you back. And like that is like the part of my daily report card that I always use is changes I need to make going into tomorrow. And it's a lot of time it's the same thing. And I see this with traders I mentor as well. It's the same thing over and over and over and over, because just like one bad habit that's ingrained in us, and we know it's holding us back. We know it. And whenever you're in your logical state of mind, you're like, this is the one thing. Fix this one thing. And then you have 1 or 2 days where you actually fix it, and you're like, oh, wow, I see so much value in this. So the biggest one usually is just around risk, right? Just respect your hard stop. I told you guys a story yesterday of the $50,000 I could have made extra from respecting that one rule. It can be that simple.
Yeah, I'd say most of us have like that light bulb moment like at the end of the session, right? Whether the day was good or bad, you go back at the end of it to review it, document it. Okay, now I know what I need to do. I know what went wrong today. I'm going to do that tomorrow. But, I mean, that's like 12 hours later, because hopefully you're not trading the Asia session, that by the time you come back the next day, remind yourself, what did I just say last night that was the biggest lesson of that day that I need to implement today, and even just going forward in general that, I mean, the biggest lessons are like, okay, the day's over, let me go look back at it. But you got to remind yourself in the morning, hey, what did I learn last night that the goal is to do today and fix today? And like Tanner was saying, it's always the same shit, and it's always like the same 5 things, right? No one's experiencing something special. It's like, I'm struggling with this 4 days out of 5. All right, let's fix that thing first, and then we'll worry about everything else and maximizing. But we can't get anywhere without fixing this one thing that's standing out in every report card. Fix that first, and it's just going to be staring at you.
Yeah, like today, I looked at YM. I don't know if you guys looked, but if I just wouldn't have listened to Austin and not moved my stop, I would have hit my target. I'm just kidding.
Okay, let's get controversial. You know I like that. How important is a morning routine to successful trading?
Massive, huge. I think it's super important. I've been through it, and I've seen clients that go through it too. I'm like, oh, well, what do you do to get ready for the open? Well, my alarm goes off about 10 minutes before. I roll out of bed.
I wish I could sleep that much.
They get up, they don't look at anything. And I've gone through that too. I remember back in the day, I'd literally wake up like 10 minutes before the open and be like, all right, let's rock and roll. Let's look at some stuff. And now it's like, okay, I need at least an hour, if not 45 minutes minimum.
That's how you know you're getting old, bro.
Yeah, it's like, get coffee, get ready. I do think your brain needs to be awake, especially me on the West Coast. Like, I wake up earlier than you guys have a luxury here of like, you have a lot of time, right? Like, I'm waking up at 5:30, got to get my brain up, going, and you need to be awake. You need to be focused, because if you're not prepared for the day, and it will show over time. You can't just wing it. Eventually, you're going to get smoked.
Yeah, I agree with that too. There's a lot of things out there that send a message where you got to wake up at 5 a.m., meditate for 20 minutes, read a book for 30 minutes, go work out for an hour, and then start your day. You don't necessarily have to do that. Like, I mean, at least give yourself time to wake up and get your brain ticking, get the blood flowing, right? If somebody comes to you, say you have a business meeting, right? Someone's coming to your house at 7 a.m., right, to make an important financial decision about their business, and you just roll out of bed 10 minutes ago. Do you think you can make a logical decision for them and their money on the spot right then, 10 minutes after you woke up? Same thing for your own trading, right? If you wake up, roll out of bed, go to your computer and start clicking buttons, you're not thinking fully, right? You're not thinking clear. And so at least give yourself the time to wake up, have some coffee, maybe grab a workout, right? And get the blood flowing enough to where you can make good decisions.
Who here has caught themselves thinking that morning routine is not important? Be honest. Who's like, I'm going to fucking figure this out without that stupid cold plunge, cold shower, morning routine? Be honest. Anybody? Fucking liars. I know all of you. Half of this room has thought to themselves, the morning routine doesn't matter. Yeah, like at some point, every person in here has been told your morning routine is going to determine your success. And you said, fuck it, it's not for me, because I'm better than that. That's what I'm saying. So one thing to look at is actually like science. Like if you like data, then you could just be a nerd. They do studies on your brain. Your brain works better after you get your body moving. It's a fact. It's just a fact. You can. Exactly. The same thing. But what I'd add is do something difficult. I'm psycho. I used to go to the gym in Philly, and I would just go on the treadmill and run because every treadmill was empty, and there'd be people doing this, bicep curls, packed. And I'm like, the treadmill's empty. Why? Because it's hard. Nobody wants to run on the treadmill. But I was crazy. I'm not as crazy anymore. But I was crazy, and I would just run because it was difficult. So I would encourage all of you to do something difficult that requires discipline before you start your trading day. The subconscious practicing of discipline off the charts will spill over into the discipline on the charts. You with me on that? Everybody? Good. What's the hard thing you're going to do? Shout some things out. Cold shower. That's not that hard. What else? Meditation. 10 minutes. Easy. Huh? Anything else? Cold shower, meditation. What's another hard thing you could do? Make your bed. What was that book the Navy SEAL guy wrote? No, it was the Admiral.
No, isn't it Make Your Bed? Is
that the name of the book? It's like some Admiral guy. He talks about like if you just start your day consistently with something that most people won't do, it spills over into the way you talk to yourself, and it spills over into the way you act. How you do one thing is how you do everything. That's come up 5 times in the last 2 days. So again, like he said, if you act unprofessional in your morning routine, how will you act when your morning starts? Y'all are smart.
I think as well, if you can trick your this might just be me because I'm fucking fucked up, but if you could trick your brain into being like, oh, I love this. This is really difficult. And it doesn't even have to be like the hardest thing. Like recently I started doing fasted cardio, wake up at 5 a.m. and go upstairs in my apartment and just go on the treadmill for 30 minutes. But I've noticed once I get back to the desk, I'm like alert, I feel good, and and so the night before, I'm not like, oh, I gotta get up at 5. I'm like, I get to get up at 5. Let's do it. This is gonna suck, but you gotta do it. So it's like I like trick my brain into being like, oh, God, I hate this, but it's good for me.
Evan listens to Drake and sings every morning. I get him on the stream sometime. Kiki, do you love me? Remember what I'm saying? That was big, bro. That was big.
Allegations.
Sorry. So just one more point on this morning routine thing, because Tanner brings up a great point about the fasted cardio, and then you start thinking it's like different. I would just say, like, do it because it's difficult and other people won't do it. Don't do it because you talk to yourself and say you're fucked up. You're pushing yourself. They're fucked up for being complacent and stagnant and boring. You're doing it because you know it's hard and they're not gonna, and it's gonna reward you. So find that motivation. Is a cold plunge easy? I hate it, bro. Like, no one in here hates cold more than me. Promise you. It's hard. But how rewarding is it? Because we've all tried one. Probably posted it on Instagram too, because if you don't post it on Instagram, you didn't cold plunge. But how rewarding is it? You get out, you're like Wolverine, bro, coming out of that tub. Remember? Yeah. So do the things that reward you even when they're difficult, because you only got one life. In the words of Drake, YOLO.
I'd say notice how no one's answer was wake up and get right to the desk. Not even just because you're like still half asleep. It's just a matter of your mental capital. I'm going to be thinking at the open and trying to make these decisions on do I want to get in, whatever, for the next 2 to 3 hours on stream or not on stream, that I want to like do busy work or just bullshit stuff in the morning that don't require a lot of critical thinking or decision making, that like I'm not mentally drained of like, oh, it's the open. I've been at it for like 3 hours. Like I'm done with these emails. I'm done with all of this. That I've been doing work, I've been running, I've been working out, whatever you guys are doing pre-market, but then you're still now awake, but you haven't really turned your brain on to decision-making, risk management, all these different trading things, because let's worry about that for the rest of the day. We don't need to be thinking about trading at 5 in the morning when the open's at 9:30 on the East Coast.
So let's talk about another controversial point. Morning routine was good, but we all kind of agreed. Backtesting. When we talk about process and strategy, how important is backtesting? Should people be backtesting, or should they just be following their mentor and letting the mentor tell them if they were backtested or not?
I've never backtested. I think the best thing you could do is, it could be tough to find someone you trust. I guess that would be the one thing of the strategy of like, I just showed you it, some pieces of it, and you could be like, well, I want to go see if it really worked in the past. But the next best step would just be start tracking it today. If you're interested in it or it made sense to you, start tracking it every day, doing markups. It's going to take time to store those, but going back, I mean, it's very tough to do with hindsight bias, especially with the VWAP being able to track the volume back then. I can't really do it that strongly, but even just the hindsight of, oh, that's the candle break on the VWAP I want to get in at. when plenty of the markups you saw today, like I took on drawdown because I took it, and then it takes on drawdown. But if I'm going back in the past, I'm gonna mark up right when it looked beautiful. And I think just moving forward, you'll refine it in today's current market conditions, and then add this view up, remove that one. I think forward testing and currently just doing your own markups each day is going to be the best thing for you.
I'm in the same boat there too. I don't really back test that much. I never really did. I don't like going back in time and being the hindsight, you know, because I'm gonna be the same exact way. I'm gonna go back and mark levels where I think it looks beautiful, right? Because I've already seen it, right? And so I want to make sure I'm getting real time testing versus back testing, because I feel like I'm going to excel and get more of an idea if this strategy works in real time data versus past.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the same with it as well. I haven't done too much actual back testing. A lot of it is forward testing, easy money setup of the day, because in theory, that's like a method of back testing because you're looking back on it. I do think what back testing is beneficial for, but enough people don't do it correctly, is specifically for entries. Because you can do back testing on like TradingView or whatever, and you see bar by bar, just like going like boop, 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 boop. But if you're watching literally price in the moment where you want to take an entry, we know how it is. That candle could be full red, then it turns into a hammer. But if you're doing back testing and just going bar by bar and you just see like red bar, hammer, like when that bar was all the way down, what was your decision? You don't know. So it's like actually seeing price literally moving and doing its thing to take a good entry. That's a good form of back testing in my opinion. But other than that, like I don't do it that often, to be honest.
If you did chart markups like we showed earlier with all those thoughts and details and emotions in the moment and you snapshotted the whole day, would that be more valuable than doing back testing?
Yes.
I agree.
1000%.
Absolutely. So don't get too caught up here, everybody. If you're new to a strategy and you're going to do, where's Isaac? You're going to do Isaac's strategy going forward, absolutely disregard everything they just said and go do 50 markups of the strategy and send them to him for feedback and make sure you're seeing it right. Once you've gotten past that point, it should be all live market journaling. That way you can get what Tanner's saying, an understanding of your thought process, not an understanding of strategy. It's more important for you to be focused on, am I understanding the concepts? Cool. Now how am I reacting in the live market? Concepts in strategy is a very small portion of executing it correctly. Do you agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? Yeah. So I think if you're thinking about it from a perspective of what is going to be the most valuable use of my time, especially in retirement, 150 back tests, you cherry pick and markups, waste of your time. Not valuable at all.
I'm just going to add it now because we're running low on time, and I'm sure later I'll have way too much tequila to get this across to you guys. But every single person that is here got invited by Austin or was referred or suggested that this person comes here for a reason, right? We put up enough performance to at least partially deserve a spot up here. I was telling somebody out in the back, some of us are good traders, some of us are also great traders, right? But it's not about the strategy. It's funny how this says trading process and strategy, right? And the last thing we were talking about was like evolution and growth and everything like that. 8 times out of 10, the strategy is not the problem, it's you. Your money management, your trade management, your emotional management. The more that you can automate, the better off that you are. You can try any one of our strategies, because you saw what yesterday. We all went long for different reasons, some right around the same area, some other areas, right? But we all walked away with money, right? And, you know, I was critiquing my peers and saying, all right, this, I don't know if I like that too much or whatever. But, like, if you tried any one of our strategies and gave it 4 months or, like, a quarter, right, but you made sure that you were spot on with your management and the trade management, I guarantee you'll find more success than what you found. Whether you found a little bit of success or none at all, if you try that, and it's not just mine, like, whichever one you're vibing with the most, whichever one you understand and comprehend with the most, or feel most comfortable with, start with that. Don't strategy hop, right? And just trust the process, but more often than not, it's a you thing and not a strategy thing. Because we all have decent enough strategies. We've all been paid by prop firms and so on and so forth. So that's it.
And in your thoughts here, everybody, like, don't let back testing in general think that is, or don't confuse yourself and make yourself think, if I don't back test this, I won't understand it. You can understand a strategy fully if you can immerse yourself in some of the guys that are on stage. You know what I'm saying? All of us are available to be talked at, questioned, talked to. So what is the most valuable thing we all have? Time. So don't waste it. Who said that? That was gay. What you got, Lawrence? I don't want to trigger you. I'm sorry.
Lawrence, get out.
Fuck you, bro. No, go ahead. What's your thoughts?
So my question is, and it's crazy, like you guys don't backtest, and I backtest like extensively. So and it's cool to see that everybody's profitable even if you don't know what you do. But my thing is, one of the biggest edges that I have during backtesting is like really being able to think in probabilities and making like loss easy to accept because I'm pretty sure we're all conditioned to think of losses as something that's harsh, right? But one thing I wanted to touch on was when market conditions change and your setup isn't as accurate as it was prior to any type of catalyst, how do you adapt your setup to the new market conditions if you're not backtesting?
I've never had to do that. I've never changed the way I've entered the market because of something that the market is doing. I've changed the way I trade because I got new information. If the strategy is dependent on market cycles, I'm not a guy to give you advice on that. Because the people I coach and the people I work with, the strategy should work in all market conditions. Do you have to adjust stop losses? Absolutely. When volatility goes up, you need... Yeah, so if you're doing little tweaks, you can figure that out through tracking in the live market just as much, if not more, because of the points Tanner said, than through the backtesting, in my opinion. So I think if you were documenting your trades in the moment as detailed as you do your backtesting, if not take your backtesting energy and do that snapshot of the day, where's the money of the day, how I could have managed my trades better today, that will reward you more long term. It'll also probably tell you when the market is changing faster. Because now you're not going back a week ago or 2 months ago and looking at charts from then. You're looking at today with 10 times more detail. You see what I'm saying? That could be more valuable to you to make that adjustment when it's needed. You want to go on that?
I won't speak on your strategy, but I think with mine, a mix of it would be I do rely on some discretion that in real time I want to know what was I thinking at this time, what maybe influenced me to like it or not like it, when on another day it maybe is a textbook setup, but just something about it today told me, yeah, there's news in 10 minutes or the higher time frame just doesn't look super clean today, and it's sometimes tough to describe, right? We all take maybe a feeler position where it's just like, it's not completely on plan, but I just feel like it makes sense, and it's not as much of a gamble. I feel like with discretion involved in my own strategy, at least, I want to know today, tomorrow, the next day, like tracking that mixed with the VWAPs, mixed with the hard rules that I have, all right? I'm not solely reliant on my discretion, just throwing trades around, but back testing would just be tougher to find that discretion in there.
Since we're all VWAP guys, let's pose this question. It's a good thought. And then, Brian, we'll come to you in a sec. Why do you, why would a strategy change? What would the VWAP do different that I would have to change? I'm curious to know if anyone has a thought on that, because I'm thinking of it myself. I don't have an answer. Like, what would happen where I'd look at it and be like, yo, VWAP is not working? I don't think that can happen.
So it's still discretionary by nature, right? So I think what helps me on day, because there's tons of days where VWAP actually doesn't work that well, but it's depend on.
But what does that mean?
Market conditions.
So that means like you tried to buy bounces off it and it keeps going through it. And
exactly. So, but once it happens once or twice, that's enough information for me to go, okay, this is a range day. VWAP is just super static and not dynamic one way or the other. Therefore, it's not a good strategy today to use.
Correct. And so it's not like you would change that strategy. You put it on the tool belt, come back to it tomorrow.
1000%.
Yeah.
I think a perfect example too would be if we're talking market conditions would be when we started talking about tariffs and we got all of that volatility into the market. Before that volatility, let's just use VWAP as an example. Before all that volatility, were you getting more clean bounces off VWAP versus when we had that volatility, was it running through VWAP before it got the bounce, right? And so I think in that specific scenario, when you're getting different conditions that have increased volatility, the strategy all stays the same. It's position sizing that you change out of all of that, right? Because there's a little bit more risk involved when there's higher volatility, and so that might mean widening stops. And so strategy should stay the same always, right? Position sizing should be what you change.
Does that click with you?
It does. I mean, but is it just because you guys are VWAP guys, or is this like, should this be like a global, universal thing?
This is tough.
It's that, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep going because.
Keep going. And we got to go to Brian.
How do you guys know the stats on your setup? Like, how do you know that it's meeting its expected value?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter. I love you. It doesn't matter. You could have an 80% win rate strategy, but if you traded at 60, what does it matter what the backtesting says, bro? It doesn't fucking matter.
And so
You're going to think you're 20% off the win rate when in reality, the backtesting could be perfect and you're a human, which is never perfect. So you know what I'm saying? There's going to be a deviation, but I just don't think that I would ever base like I've never looked at trading and said this strategy through a Python or C++ software back tested is a 72.68% win rate. Because today we're collecting a new data point, that number could change. Tomorrow's a new data point, that number can change. So I've never based it off of that. I've based my changes off of my data. For example, I got guys in the Black Shirt Club that suck at longs, and they crush it in shorts. The backtesting says trade long and short. How many people have heard me give the advice to not do that and trade one side of the market that you trade better? I just gave it to you last week, right? The backtesting says to not do that. The backtesting says if you just shut the fuck up, Frank, and just take all the trades, you're going to make 80% win rate. That's not how it's going to work. So when we look at Frank's trades and he wins 80% long and loses, or he wins 40% short, I'll tell him, fuck the backtesting, look at your stats and tweak it there. Would you guys add on that?
Yeah. Also, too, like, and just to speak on, because I'm not like a huge VWAP guy. Like these guys really trade VWAP. That's not my main strategy. On initial balance, it all stays the same, right? It's market context. Initial balance never changes. It's always the first hour, no matter what. And so when we get that increased volatility, for me, I'm going to look for the exact same trades, the exact same setups, just on different sizing. Again, just speaking from a different strategy point of view, it's all the same.
Brian, did you want to get your question in here? Mm-hmm.
So like, I'll have a weekly level that won't get tested for 2 months.
How do you come up with the weekly level?
Through my charts, weekly charts, maybe out for like a year.
So like,
I'm using the continuous contracts to get it. So when I see it, and then if it's approaching it, I'll sometimes go and back test it beforehand just to see how markets reacted during that time. And then with TradeZilla, you can do the second by second, so you can actually see the fluctuations of how price is operating in that area.
okay.
And then I also forward test it with the data from today too.
Okay.
If I match it together.
What was your question?
So like pretty much a little bit of kind of what he said, is this more of like a VWAP or like order blocks since it's like a
Probably. The answer for both, yes, is probably something. What you two were talking about sounds a little more subjective to me. I can't be subjective about VWAP. I anchor it at 930, and it does based on what the market is doing, based on price and volume. There's no subjectivity. I don't know when I trade with fibs if I should draw from this low to here or this low. So I would try to cut out the subjectivity because I think when you do subjective stuff, it actually makes it more sexy to do backtesting. Well, I could just do it to this level, and if we do it to the, dude, 20% more in the win rate if we just go to this level. But like Tanner said, what happens in between those levels in this example? That your decision making may throw off the outcomes of those trades. So maybe to challenge you guys, all of us, in this conversation of backtesting that is somewhat controversial, try both sides of the coin. Be willing to kick the door down and break the mindset, break the bullshit rule we talked about yesterday is I need to backtest my strategy in order to trade it. It's not true. So I would just challenge it a little bit and see if there are more definite things you can add to the strategy that are less subjective, like orders on an order book that are clearly centralized, like levels that don't move as much. Like, Brian, when I ask you the weekly level, and you're like, well, I look back on the charts. That, to me, initially sounds not specific enough, because what if we are in a heightened period of volatility? The levels could be way bigger. Then we go into a period of contraction when we're getting those small trickle up days on the ES. Those levels are going to look way different. So when you backtest it in a bull market that's very small daily candles versus a bear market with huge down candles, it's going to look way different, right? But what I'm saying is you're not factoring in the size of the candles day to day. The strategy, if it's based on levels, will probably perform differently when the levels are further apart because of volatility versus when the levels are closer together due to less volatility. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm saying. So it's hard to backtest something like that and say it covers all market conditions because it could be very subjective and work better in certain market conditions than other. Where like if I buy when I'm above VWAP, whether it's heightened volatility or not, I probably make money. This is a really good point. We're going to move off of it in a second, but like, you see how in the weeds you can get, everybody? The simplest stuff probably makes you the most money. So I would say, out of this entire conversation, simplify it. If you're going to backtest it, make it super simple. Otherwise, don't even do it. Keep it simple. The guys in here that made the most money today are the simplest people.
Do what works for you as well. If backtesting has been working for you, keep doing it. There's nothing wrong with it.
For sure.
Just personally, I didn't have too much value out of it. I do backtesting in different ways, but if it's something that works for you, keep doing it. Like it's like that's big. That's something I'm big on. Your trading business, your process, it works for you. Good. Keep doing it.
Is everyone feeling good? No air conditioning on, so we warming up in here?
It's getting toasty, bro.
Getting toasty. Give them a round of applause, everybody. You guys can come on down.